I guess what I would say to Republicans who are worried about this is, what's the alternative? Is the alternative a commitment of American service personnel indefinitely in countries like Afghanistan and Iraq? They're welcome to make that case.
White House spokesman Josh Earnest defending President Obama's go-slow policy for re-engaging in Iraq. And we're back now with the panel for our Friday lightning round. With the lightning advance of ISIS in Iraq, President Obama's foreign policy is maybe under attack like never before. I want to put up this poll. In a Wall Street Journal poll this week, approval of Obama's handling of foreign policy hit a new low of just 37%. Kirsten, how fair is the criticism?
I think it's fair, but I think we all have criticisms maybe coming from different directions, and that's the problem for Obama. And I think it would drop even further if he was to get more engaged in Iraq, because Americans did not want us to be in Iraq, and they frankly don't want us in Afghanistan. So this criticism that he's getting from Republicans, saying, oh, is this going to happen now? Will we not get a status of forces agreement in Afghanistan? You have to remember the president is accountable to the American people who did not want us to be in Iraq and who don't want us to have a really long-term commitment in Afghanistan either.
Julie, Republican aide on Capitol Hill was quoted today as asking the question, what's the difference between Iraq and Afghanistan? And the answer was about 5 years. Is there a concern at the White House that, we got out of Iraq, now we're back in, we're getting out of Afghanistan? Maybe that's going to fall apart, too.
I think what the White House would argue is that they are hoping at least that they're going to get a status of forces agreement with the Afghans to keep American troops there for 2 more years, and perhaps training and counterterrorism missions for 2 more years can eventually stave off what we're seeing happen in Iraq. The question that a lot of critics will say, though, is doesn't this just extend that period of time and give the Taliban, give extremists a deadline for when they can then come in and have a similar situation as Iraq?
Charles, and let me remind you, this is a lightning round.
Lightning is very quick.
Yes.
Just checking on the meteorological facts.
Yes.
The reason his numbers are low is because he pursued a foreign policy of deliberate retreat. The country doesn't want war. He responded to that. But between war and retreat, there's a huge distance. And the result of that you can see all around the world. He said he would raise our standing in the world. Everywhere in the world, Libya, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Ukraine, America and its allies are in retreat, and our suffering is a direct result of his policy. End of lightning.
The House Committee on Veterans Affairs held a hearing today in which they were discussing the bonuses that VA managers get. Turns out the VA gives out $400 million a year in performance bonuses, and that while, as we now know, thousands of vets were waiting to get in to even be able to see a doctor, 65% of the senior workforce got bonuses for their good work. Kirsten, 100% of senior managers met their goals.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. And I think there's nothing wrong with giving performance bonuses. Obviously, it gives you an incentive. But I think the fact that they were not able to see that all of these people weren't doing their job raises some serious questions.
Julie.
It's just the latest indignity for this agency that has had so many problems, and to think that you had people who were waiting weeks to get appointments while the people who were running these hospitals were getting bonuses, I think is really infuriating.
Because of the fact that they were handling the wait time so efficiently, supposedly. Charles.
It's the perfect example of the difference between private sector, where people are ultimately held accountable, and the public sector, where they ultimately generally are not.
Finally, winners and losers. Kirsten.
Loser is the IRS, who I think actually may be up for loser of the year. We'll see at the end of the year. And
it's a long year.
It's pretty. They're I think in the lead. And then Paul Ryan is the winner for his cross-examination of the IRS commissioner. I think he was sort of channeling a lot of the anger that Americans feel towards that sort of arrogant attitude.
Because you guys are going so fast now, do you think Paul Ryan's going to run for president?
Hey, wait, I'm coming.
Okay. No, I'm going to leave you a little time.
I think there's a good chance. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, yeah. Julie, winner and loser.
My loser, Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki. Not only is his country descending into just horrific sectarian violence, but the the U.S. and his fellow Iraqi politicians are just moving away from him, and it seems hard to imagine how he's going to hang on to his job.
In addition to which, the grand Ayatollah of his own religious sect said today, hey, we need a new government here.
He doesn't have a lot of supporters right now.
That's not good.
He does not have a lot of supporters. My winner is the U.S. World Cup team. A great victory over Ghana earlier this week, and fingers crossed, maybe a second victory this weekend.
Over Portugal.
Over Ghana? Where were we? Loser of the week. Loser of the week is Hanley Ramirez, shortstop for the Dodgers. His pitcher, Clayton Kershaw, was pitching a perfect game. There are only about 20 or so of those in 110 years of baseball history, which means everybody up, everybody down. Well, one ball was hit to Hanley. He threw it away. No perfect game. Such is life. Winner,
but he's still got a no-hitter.
Yes, but a no-hitter is run-of-the-mill. A perfect game, as you would know as a baseball fan.
Yes.
Winner. Abu Kutala, the guy that we picked up in Libya. Here's a guy, a terrorist, involved in the killing of the cruel hunting and killing of our ambassador. He's apprehended by the U.S., and he's now in the tender hands, instead of the military, of the Justice Department. There's not another country in the world that would have done that to him. He's a lucky man, such is life in America.
See you after the show at the ball game tonight.
Maybe we'll see a perfect game.
Maybe we'll see a perfect game.
Ramirez
Hanley Ramirez is not going to be playing. That's it for the